Living in America as a black person, you recognize there is one set of laws for you and one set of laws for those, especially in the white community. In our book, Passive Aggressive Racism in the System of White Supremacy, I take you through times in my life when I first started noticing white supremacy. We teach you how to recognize it, identify it, and also counter it in our book. This book is a beginner's course for those that are just starting to wake up and open their eyes to see the system of white supremacy. As a black American person, you must understand this system because this system is life or death to you. How you handle it, how you deal with it, it can affect your mental health if you don't understand this system. Pick up our book, Passive Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy, today on Amazon. So we have to give an update to the story of Charleena Lyles that happened in Seattle a few years ago. So the Seattle inquest jury unanimously agreed that the two race soldiers who killed a pregnant mother of four, and said while, allegedly, wielding a knife was justified when they shot her 7 times. They say the 6 jurors agreed that race soldiers Jason Anderson and Stephen McNew complied with Seattle Police Department policy and training when they used a deadly force against 30-year-old Charleena Lyles. Now, Lyles' family rejects the jury's decisions. Karen Kohlers, an attorney for the woman's family, said the inquest proceedings ignored Lyles' history of behavioral health problems. It said, according to reports, Lyles called 911 to report a burglary in her Northeast Seattle apartment on June 18, 2017. It said Anderson was dispatched to the call. He requested backup after being warned that Lyles had produced a pair of long shears. Said during domestic disturbance and a burglary call weeks prior. It said McNew responded to the request for backup. It said one of the race soldiers specialized in mental health. It said the officer said they had little time to react when Lyles pulled a knife. It said Anderson was certified to use a taser, but had left it in the charging in his locker. It said they warned the woman to stand down and drop the weapon, but she refused. Race soldiers drew their guns and shot Lyles in the front, back, and side of her body. It said the medical examiner said 2 of the wounds were nearly immediately fatal, puncturing the largest artery in her body. Now, Charleena Lyles was pronounced dead at the scene. It said 3 of the 4 Lyles children were in the apartment during the shooting. Because the race soldiers don't care. They'll murder you right in front of your family. They can care less. This is what they do to black people, right? And whatever happened to protect our women? Well, protect our women means not black women. And so the mother's family said she was several months pregnant and was a victim of domestic violence who was living with mental illness. Said the woman's death spurred backlash and protests from the community. And said many questioned why the race soldiers did not use non-lethal force when she weighed less than 100 pounds. It said the coroner's inquest jury's decision to help prosecutors decide whether to file criminal charges against the race soldiers. Jurors answered more than 120 questions about the incident on July 5 and 6 before deciding on July the 7th. The reason why they didn't use non-lethal force is because she's a black woman. When they see black, they go to attack. I told you that. They don't treat you like they treat their own. Their own can go kill 50 people and they still gonna go arrest them and nothing will happen to them. They're not afraid of their life or nothing. But with you, when they used the term "I'm afraid of my life," that was used out of police think tanks, and they got with lawyers to make sure that can stick so they can kill you and not go to jail. These people are devils. They plan like that. But a lot of black folks don't believe that. Now, you continue to say this, in fact, the only time that a jury is going to look at what happened. That's a Ted Buck, is an attorney representing the race soldiers. Says so the significance, he said, I think of the outcome that 6 people chose from the community, and I guarantee you it was nobody that looked like Charleena. They say a jury of your peers. No, it's not. My peers is in the black community. Everybody else don't even live in my community, don't know my situation or anything. That's not my peers. Now, they chose 6 black folk that understand black people, their mental health issues or whatever, and they're making that decision. Okay, fine. Or at least 50% of the jury should be black. 50% of any jury should be of the community of that person. If it's a white person, it should be 50%. If it's a black person, if it's an Asian person, if it's a Hispanic person, Arab person, 50% of the jury should at least be from that said community. I think that at least at minimum would be fair. I prefer the whole jury, but at least 50%. Saying they listened to the evidence and found that officer's action was justified. Yeah, they always justify their own people. Whatever they do to black people. That's why I said these people can't give you no kind of justice like that unless it's just blatant. I mean, you justified at killing a pregnant woman that's 100 pounds? Really? So it said King County Prosecuting Attorney Dan Satterberg said his office will review the evidence that was presented in jury's answers in the coming weeks. It said the Department Review in late 2017 found the race holder's use of force reasonable, necessary, and proportional. The Lyles family was awarded $3.5 million in settlement from the city in November, even though initial wrongful death claims against the race holders and the city were dismissed. Now, they say the Seattle Police Department has a history of using excessive force against people with mental health or substance issues, according to a federal consent decree activated in 2012 by the U.S. Department of Justice. Federal investigators also found evidence of racially biased policing. They said the agency has since made some reforms. Lyles' death motivated the department to implement a body-worn camera policy. They say 5 years ago, the Lyles family in Seattle community and the involved SPD officers in our entire community, it said, was shaken, it said, by the unquestionably tragic event. That's according to the Seattle Police Department statement. They said they thanked the inquest, they say administrator and staff and all involved for the efforts to ensure a fair and transparent fact-finding process, and we thank the jury for its thoughtful and careful deliberations. Which those deliberations isn't thoughtful at all. Ain't no way you could justify a shooting between two grown men, and say a woman that's 100 pounds. But this is, like I say, when they kill black people, they always justify it, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I've told you, as long as you live in a system of racism and white supremacy, you would never have any justice, because these people aren't capable of giving any kind of justice. This is why I'm a big proponent of two addresses. Have you an address in America if that's what you want. Have an address in a foreign country. Me, it's just how I feel, preferably an African nation. But if not, you can do the Caribbean, you can do wherever else. I just say, but this is what I will say to you. Don't jump out the oven into the frying pan, because I know some of you, and I'm seeing this, some of you going to Latin America and all that. There's a hell of white supremacists in Latin America. Yeah, you really need to study where you're going, some of you black people. I'm just saying, sure, you're not dealing with the white supremacists in one way, but they have their own. You need to talk to people who are of Hispanic descent, and they will tell you themselves about the racism that go on in Latin America. Talk to some of the black folks that's there. They do some stuff that's worse than here. I don't understand why. Listen, if I had a choice to go to a Latin American country to live and stay in America, I stay my behind right here. Ain't no way I'm going to go to those countries. I could visit, and I will visit to go find my people, because that's part of what I'm going to start doing as of next year, to go to different countries, find black people, and get their stories, right? But outside of visiting, no. If I'm going to live somewhere, it's going to be in the African continent. If I decide to be in the Caribbean, okay, a Caribbean nation, that's black. But the reason why, like I said, I'm not big on the Caribbean is because of the hurricanes. I don't want to deal with hurricanes. I'm sick of hurricanes. Been through that mess too much. And when you live in the Caribbean, you got to get out. You're going to suffer. The category 4 hurricane come through there, man, please. You remember what happened in the Bahamas? When that category 4 hurricane hit there, man? Nah, not me. No. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this particular story here. Like I said, with our sister Charleena Lyles, like I said, once again, no justice for black people. Hey family, make sure you join us on the new and improved AfricanDiasporaNews.org. Now, it is our uncensored and raw truth website. We have to make sure to have our own website, because on social media platforms, they do have rules, and at any time they could change a rule and shut a whole genre down. Now, that would not happen to us, because on AfricanDiasporaNews.org, we can speak the truth. We don't have to hold back. So make sure you join our website today.